strategy you can try in your classroom. It's called prediction. Ask your students to predict the findings of a research study. After they've had an opportunity to do that, they can explain the rationale for it, and then you can go over the research study with them using a visual aid such as a PowerPoint. All right, so today we're going to talk about taking tests. And one of the things that students often question themselves about is, should I or should I not change my answer when I'm taking a multiple choice test? So first, let's do a quick show of hands. Raise your hand if you think, yes, you should change your answer when taking a multiple choice test. Okay, so we have about 4 of you. And how many of you then think not? The rest of you, right? Okay. Let's hear some of your reasons. Let's start with those who said no. Why do you think it's a bad idea? Tasha?
I know sometimes I make mistakes on tests, so if I know the answer is right, my second choice answer was correct, I'll change it. Because I usually, after I'm done with my test, I go back and review my answers. So
what you're saying is sometimes you might have a good reason for changing and then you trust your good reason, and you think so you would be agreeing with yes, it's a good idea. Okay? Mm-hmm. Someone else, what's your opinion? Yes, Vanessa.
I have done this before. I've gone back and second guessed myself and then gotten the test back and my original answer was right. And I've always kicked myself because of it. So for me, the answer would be no, although there are times when I do go back and I have read the question wrong. So I will go back and reread the questions and make sure that I read it correctly. But most of the time I go with my first answer.
Okay, so we have two kind of, I hear 2 issues that you're raising. One is, I look at my own personal experience, and when I go back and I look at the test, I shouldn't have changed my answer, right? And then the other piece that I heard you say is sometimes when I go back, which this kind of connects with what Tasha was saying, I look at the question and I realize I didn't really read it accurately, so I should change my answer in that case. Anyone else? What else do you think? Abby?
Usually, like the flashbulb phenomenon, you see the thing, you've seen it before, you go with a gut instinct and you choose the correct answer. But if you come back and then like you're second guessing yourself and you change the answer, usually I'm wrong. I'm wrong with my first instinct.
Okay, so Abby brings up a really important concept here, go with your gut. How many of you have been given this advice before, to go with your gut when you're taking a test? All right, it's pretty common advice, right? So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to talk about, well, how do we know what the right answer to this question is? What I hear is that you're reflecting on your personal experiences, which is a great starting point. There's also literature out there, so there's peer-reviewed research that we can look at to see whether or not this idea is supported by research. So let's take a look at it. There was a research study done by Delilah in 2007, and this was a relatively recent study that was done, and you can tell by the title, The Positive Impact, that it's going to talk about changing your answers is a good idea. So let's look at their data. This is a very large study. They had almost 3,000 students in this study, and basically what they did is they had the answer sheets for students, and there are 3 things that can happen when you change your answer. You could either go from wrong to right, which is what you're hoping for, right? I mean, that's what you want to have happen. You could go from right to wrong, which is what I heard some of you talk about with some of your experiences. We don't want that to happen. And of course, you could also go wrong to wrong, which is another bad option, so we don't want that to happen either. So let's take a look to see what happened. Well, first of all, I think it's important to tell you that not that many answers were changed. So only about 2%. So although most students did change an answer here or there, they're not doing it for that many questions. So we're not talking about shifting a grade from a C to an A or something like that, but it might be a B plus to an A minus, something along those lines. But what they did find was that most of the answer choices that were changed actually went from wrong to right, which is what we want. That's the goal we're hoping for if you change your answer. So this research study actually showed us that this was a pretty powerful finding. Now, you might say to me, well, Dr. Harrington, that's really nice, but that's just one study, and you would be absolutely right to say that, because whenever you're looking for research, you want to try to find multiple studies that converge and the data is speaking more loudly then, because you can feel more confident in the results. So let's take another look at a study. This one was done a little bit a while ago, back in 1987, and it was done by Schatz and Best. However, it's still a powerful study, and it's important to note that just because a study wasn't recent doesn't mean it's not valuable. Still can offer us a lot of value. Let's take a look at this one. And basically what they found here was that 72% of the folks who changed answers actually had a good outcome. They went from wrong to right. Here's the caveat that you already identified, they had a good reason for doing so. So if they did it because they misread, they misinterpreted the question, something later on triggered a thought, then that was what led to a positive outcome. What they discovered was when you just purely were guessing and then you went back and took a new guess, that actually was about the same right to wrong and wrong to right. However, it was wasting your valuable test time. So what the kind of takeaway value from this research is, it is a good idea to change your answer if you have a good reason for doing so. So don't waste your time if you're purely guessing. But if you have a good reason, then you want to do it. Questions or comments?
I think that when you read something later and that provides a hint or clue, because a lot of times in a test, the answer will be in the next question. So I think that's a good idea, and I agree with the guessing. It's not a good idea.
Okay, so I mean really this research kind of supports what you already thought, although not completely because many of you thought it was not a good idea to change your answer, and some students are pretty hesitant to do so, thinking that it's not the right thing to do. Well, now you can feel, rest assured, that it's okay to do so as long as you have a good reason for doing that.